Hello, back again to do another unboxing and review. Today I have this item that I've been waiting to try out. It is a USB powered mini ultrasonic washing machine. Now this itself is just the drive unit, so what's going to cause the bubbling and the swirling of the water. As far as what you actually put the clothes in, you'll have to use a bucket or a sink. Okay, so I had this imported and I'm not exactly sure at this point who makes it. We might find out as we go through this review, or if it's written on the box and in Chinese and you can actually read it, please leave me down in the comments who makes this device. So let's go ahead and take a look around the box. Alright, so here we go. You got a picture of the item. Seems to be written primarily in Chinese, but there is some English on there. Okay, let's go around to the side. Okay, there we have the specs. Okay, top here. So we have these little icons, and then there's some Chinese below. So I have my little cheat sheet on what these little symbols mean. So that first one there is intelligent interaction. That second one says auto circulation cleaning, so it advances on its own to the next cycle. Then we have, okay, that's turbine reverse cleaning. So yeah, it has a turbine. That there is saying that it has a built-in clutch system. Now that symbol doesn't mean Wi-Fi, although that is the Wi-Fi symbol, right? But what they're having it represent here is ultrasonic vibration cleaning. This one is pretty self-explanatory, but it is fresh bubble cleaning. There, you can see it says 1 kilogram, which by the way is 2.2 pounds. But what it means is, in this case, it's saying personal laundry load. So that's how much clothes I guess you can wash, and then at one time, and then that's for lightweight and portable. Alright, so then here looks like we have some warnings. This side's, but it's, yeah. Okay, so what side haven't we seen? Oh, this side. Okay, so here, these are, I guess, the things that they recommend you washing, and what you'll notice is it doesn't have anything like jackets or like jeans or anything, so I'm assuming you're kind of supposed to keep it to lighter weight clothing items. Again, that 1 kilogram or 2.2 pounds. So, okay. And is there anything we haven't seen yet? We've seen that. Oh yeah, the back. There's nothing on the back. Okay. Alright, so overall impressions of the packaging, keeping in mind that I can't read everything on the box, but from what I can see and read, I would say it's a minimalist white box. Now they could be doing that for two reasons. One, because they're following a certain well-known company that started this trend, and now it seems everybody thinks they have to follow it, or it's just to keep down on the cost of the packaging. Alright, however, I will say that where I decided to purchase this from, they did a good job of advertising this item by having the item, but then in the background they had swirling blue water, kind of like a whirlpool, and then they had bubbles. So you got the whole vibe of clean and washing, and I think they could have easily done that on this box to make it more eye-catching. But also, as far as the integrity of the box, you can see, you know, through it did sustain a little damage, not too much, but the box isn't the most sturdy. But what can I say? It got here, so let's go ahead and get to the unboxing. Alright, so at least mine isn't sealed. It just has one of these fold-in tabs. Let's pull that out. Oh, okay, cool. So we get some directions, it looks like. And this would probably be a good time to tell you that there's two different models. The one I ordered is this one, which has the inline remote. And then there's another one that does not have that remote. And this one, I'm pretty sure that when you plug it in, it just runs its pre-programmed sequence of cycles. As with this one, I think you can select. Alright, then here let me, so here's your step-by-step of how to operate it. Okay, slap down. Hello. There's the unit. Yep. So, they sent the right one, the one with the remote. It looks like here we have a good, there's a length of cord to the remote, but then way more length before we get to the unit, which is good because of course it's going to be submerged. Alright. Switch clips. Alright. So, it's not super heavy, but it's also not super light, so it's somewhere in the middle. Actually, you know what? I'll go ahead and weigh it, and I'll put the weight up there. Okay, let's look at that remote. So, this is a button, obviously. These, although they look like buttons, they're not. So it's just one button. Is this a button? No. Okay. Now you can see it says A, B, C, and D there. Something I wanted to show you is if you look here where the cable goes into the main unit, you can see there's a cable, but also surrounding it there's an extra jacket of this silicone type material. You can see it better here. See that? As opposed to one that does not have it. So this would be, of course, the portion that's not in the water, and you can see that that's just the actual cable. So there's kind of a side-by-side comparison. See that? Alright, and this should go without saying, but you know how it is. You have to tell people everything just to cover your butt. So this control box here is not waterproof. Okay, so now let's talk about the reservoir you're going to choose to actually deposit the water and your clothes and, of course, the main unit. I found this. So this here, although it looks like a disc in its current state, so this here, here's the handle. Okay, so yeah, this looks just kind of like a disc or a big frisbee with some kind of weird gaskets. Well, I bet you can guess what this does. Ta-da! It folds out, or like an accordion, into a bucket. Alright. Alright, now as far as attaching the washing machine module, now you saw in the directions they had the device here attached to the side of the bucket. Well, because of the particular geometry of the side of this collapsible bucket, that's not going to work so well. But luckily on the bottom there's a nice flat surface, and the material on the bottom is just perfect for these suction cups to adhere to. So for this case I'm going to have it on the bottom, which by the way in the downloaded directions they said that that is also available choice. So alright, so I got the unit there placed at the bottom of the bucket. There is water in the bucket now. And yeah, so let's talk about the drive unit. It's sticking to the bottom of the bucket quite well through the use of those suction cups. I'm going to go ahead and test the different modes by using settings B, C, and D. So that'll be the turbine, the ultrasonic, cleaner, and then the bubbles. And right now I'm not going to add any clothes so that we get a better view of well, what the unit's doing without having clothing in the way. Alright, so I just plugged it in, and you can see I'm getting this blinking light there. So, alright, I'm going to go ahead and push the button and see if that turns the device on. So there you go. Oh, okay. Oh, it seems like it's spinning one way and then turning around and spinning the other direction. Let's go ahead and add those floats in there and see what it looks like. Alright, Alright, so this is ultrasonic. Wow. I can actually feel the vibrations in the floor. And you can see the ripples there. Okay, I'm going to take that off. I think we've seen that. It seems quite strong actually too. Alright, now I'm going to go to bubbles. Alright, so this is on the side opposite of where the cable plugs into the device. Okay. Alright, so let's go over what I'm going to wash here. I'm going to do a pair of socks. Okay. A sweaty t-shirt. It has dried since I took it off a few days ago, but it still needs to be cleaned. And that's kind of why it's in a ball, because that's how sticky it got. Alright, enough said about that. And then a pair of briefs as well. Alright. And I think that's all I'll put in there for now. Alright, so in my attempts to give this every chance to work, you'll notice I switched from the bucket to this storage bin, this plastic storage bin deal. Now, keep in mind, I don't know if you're going to be traveling with one of these bins, but again, we'll pretend this is like your hotel sink or something, alright? So I'm going to go ahead and put some clothes in here and see if we have any. Alright, so I've had these in there for a while. Yeah, I've brought it down to just a pair of briefs and 2 socks. And it is working better than when we had the other setup. However, if you're noticing, they're somewhat moving around. Okay, see, that isn't too bad. But again, this is an underwear and 2 pairs of socks. So, and I don't really know if this amount of agitation is really worth all the logistics that we have going on here. So now, to make it a little more realistic, I'm going to go ahead and add in a t-shirt. And I'm pretty sure that's going to stop this in its tracks, but we'll see here. Yeah, so... Alright, so I've been watching this for a while, and what I've noticed is that once the bigger item... Oh, by the way, I have this unplugged from the wall, so I'm good to put my hands in here. Anyway, so what will happen is the smaller items will progress over to a corner. So I know it's kind of cloudy here, but you can see here the briefs down there, and the socks are kind of in the middle. And the usually heavier, longer item, in this case the t-shirt, will usually find its way towards the drive unit. And it'll twist this very little, so the big item will be hardly moving, and everything else will just be still at the bottom. Alright, and because no review of a laundry cleaning device would be complete without a stain test, I've devised this. So what we're going to do is I have 2 hand towels. They're really small hand towels. Each one of these weighs 65 grams, and I'm going to stain them with what's in these cups. So I poured the same amount in each here. That is chocolate milk mixed with Mio. If you're not familiar, Mio is that stuff you put into water to give it flavor. Some of it has caffeine and electrolytes or whatever, but anyway, so I figured we have milk and then we have something that's kind of like sugary that should stain, and it's also red, so it should be easy to see. So I'm going to stain these towels. I'm going to push this stuff in, not just pour it on, but I'm actually going to press it in. And then I'm going to let the towels dry, and we're going to clean them using, well, of course, the device that this review's about. But on one towel, I'm going to run it through the auto cycle that the machine goes through. It's 3 different cycles over and over for about, half hour. And then the other one, I'm just going to throw it in the water and not have any agitation. So it's just going to soak. Alright, so it's been 3 hours. This is as dry as I'm going to let it get. Right? Using the bin, which we already seen is the best option, as opposed to the bucket. So now I'm going to go ahead and start it up. we go. Now I'm going to let it run. Alright, so we're a few minutes in. I just wanted to update you that I did put in the Tide 10 milliliters. Alright, so it stopped on its own after 30 minutes, and I'm going to go ahead and retrieve this towel. I unplugged the device. So, okay, now to do the other one. Alright, so refilled the bin after rinsing it off, of course, put in the same amount of water at the same temperature. So I'm going to go ahead, put in the next rag. This, I guess, will be our control. So, and again, I'll wait the 2 minutes and then add the soap. Now, since I don't really want to agitate the towel directly, in order to mix the soap, I'm going to go ahead and swirl the soap in the water with my hands, but not try to hit the paper towel. So, alright, sorry, the hand towel. Alright, so here we go, drop them in. And of course, I'll actually push it in so it gets under there. It's only fair, I guess, I open it up to expose all the stain. Okay, so that's about as much agitation as I'm going to do. And then again, 2 minutes from now, I'll add the soap. Alright, so it's been a half hour, and with no agitation, I can still see the stain on the towel. So we'll pull it out gently and see just how far along it's come. Alright, so you can see here the stain. There's a little discoloration in the water, a little chunk there. But overall, a big majority, I'd say if not most of it, is still on the towel. So, since it is zero agitation, why don't I give it another half hour and see if that does a little more. Alright, so it's been another half hour, so an hour total. Let's see how it did. Okay, so the stain is, well, quite obviously still there. Some of it did come off in the water. But again, with no agitation, that part remains. Alright, so back here with the towels again, notice that one looks a lot better than it did. So the reason for that, I decided to put it back into the tub it just came out of, yes, with all the stain in the water, and I went ahead and just hand washed it for about, I don't know, 4 minutes. Casually kneading it with my thumbs, kind of like if you were watching TV while you were doing it. So, yeah, not super intense, but, somewhat focused, but pretty lackadaisical as far as washing goes. But I got it to look like that. Now, this one here, you already know what happened with this one through one cycle of the mini washing machine. So, now, comparing these two, they're pretty much, if you didn't know any better, I don't think you'd be able to tell which one is which if I didn't let you know. If you look super close, this one does have a hint of a color difference there as opposed to the rest of the towel, but it's probably not coming on camera, and again, you might not even notice if I didn't mention it or point it out. So now it looks like we could pretty much say that it doesn't make a difference what way you do it, but we have to look at, there's now more variables, because this one, keep in mind, stayed stained for an extra half hour, because that was the half hour that this one was going through with the mini washing machine. So this one had more stain time, and it also stayed in its water, which had, of course, all that milk and Mio and all that stuff. And it was in there for a whole hour, just kind of soaking in its own stain. So, it still looked pretty good. But understand now there are some variables. But everything considered, this one and this one, at this point, both look clean. It's just this one took a little hand manipulation to get it to look that way. Alright, so we're on the home stretch here. I'm just going to cover 3 more things. I'm going to talk about the testing condition I did not run, talk about how I used and did not use this device, and then the last will be the conclusion, of course. Alright, so the testing condition I did not run is having a stain sample and hand washing it right from the jump. Not letting it soak and going through a whole test and then at the end hand washing it. Hand washing it right away. It would have been hand washing versus this machine's washing. Now, the reason I didn't do that test is because if you are going to invest the energy and time staying in the sink, washing by hand, well then you're going to be doing more than your underwear and a pair of socks. You're going to be throwing in shirts, t-shirts, dress shirt, your pants maybe, maybe even your jacket, right? So what I'm getting at is once you invest the time to do hand washing, you might as well do the whole shebang, not just the couple delicates that this thing can handle. So that's why I didn't run that test. All right, now let's go ahead and talk about what I did and didn't do as far as kind of disclaimer on use. I used this actually more than I thought I was going to have to do this review, but that being said, I still have only used it for a few days to make this review. I haven't used this for months on end, and I don't know how long the motor will last. Will it go out? Can't say. But at least for the time with the test you saw, it's still working fine. The one thing I did notice, however, is that this suction cup here, this one came off. So I had to go ahead and stick it back in there. I used super glue to keep it fixed. And actually it seems to be working. So I've done the last basically tests with the stained rags. That was all done after I fixed this with super glue. So it's at least holding up there. Alright, so in conclusion, would I recommend this item? No. I like the idea. And I kind of would like to think of this as being like a miniaturized prototype, and then that the real one that's actually going to be released to do laundry would be way more powerful, probably bigger, of course more expensive, and that one I'd be interested to take a look at, but I'd still have to try even that version. But as this is right now, you just have to make far too many considerations and accommodations in order to get this thing to work.